How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today we're going to be going over a small list of things that you should never do to your RV. Things that you should completely avoid. Now, for a lot of veteran RVers out there, a lot of these things, they're probably not going to be new. They might be good reminders, but for those that are starting off and beginning the RVing process, these things could be huge and really help somebody out a lot. So if you're a veteran RVer and you have something that you should never do to an RV that's not covered in this video, leave that down in the comments and it might actually help out somebody beginning the RVing process. So the first thing on the list is something that we had to deal with when we bought our RV is there was roofing tar on the EPDM roof. So it was like your typical roofing tar that you would have on a house for doing some kind of a patch. They patched it with that, which it does not work with the EPDM roof. So don't use some kind of caulk that you just pick up from Home Depot or Lowe's that's meant for a home and assume that it's going to be good on your RV. Don't be using acrylic caulks on the outside to seal up stuff. Get the right stuff. Use, if you have an EPDM roof, use the Dicor self-leveling sealant. Use the ProFlex on the walls that are meant for the walls. Use the proper stuff, because what we had to deal with is that roofing tar was rejected by the membrane in some areas, so the leak came back quick wherever they had an issue on the roof, and then in other places it was stuck on there so badly that it was difficult to remove. So it was one of these things. It didn't work well in the long run. So don't use those kind of things. Use the proper material. The second thing on the list is don't plug in your RV into the electrical pedestal until you have tested it. So grab your surge protector, your EMS device, plug it into the pedestal, turn the breaker on before you plug in the RV, and check to make sure that those lights are all good, that it's wired properly. Electrical can wreak an enormous amount of devastation in a very short amount of time. It just takes flipping on that switch for things to go wrong if it's wired improperly. So if it's not wired right, talk to the people at the RV park, see if you can get that fixed. If it's at your house, see if you can get an electrician. If you're not familiar with electricity, to be able to fix the problem and be able to safely plug in your RV. The third thou shalt not do to your RV is along the same lines as the electrical, but with the water side of the RV. So if you're at an RV park and you're using water, you're going to connect to their water system. I always check to see what the PSI coming out of that fixture, that faucet, is before I connect the RV to it. So you're safe if you always use your pressure reducer, your pressure regulator into your RV. I love those kind that you can dial back the pressure to get exactly what you want. But if it's only at 40 PSI for the RV park, and I can tell that I'm probably not going to get any more than that, it's not like the water pressure is just down for that time, I won't even use a pressure regulator. Why have it pass through one more thing? But the safe way is to always use the pressure regulator in case that pressure gets ramped up. But just know the pressure at that park so that you don't blow your water lines. The fixtures aren't meant to hold an enormous amount of pressure, and some parks have an extremely high amount of pressure. So never connect your RV to a water source you don't know the pressure to, or at least have a pressure regulator in line and ready to go. The next one is about as RV 101 as you can possibly get, but don't leave your black tank valve open. It doesn't work like a normal house. It's just not a pipe that goes out into the sewer. You have that tank in there. So the black tank is of the most importance to make sure that you do this properly, because if you don't let it fill up and then you flush it all at once, you're going to have a lot of issues and things build up in your tank that you don't want to, and you don't want to be dealing with black tank issues. It seems like all RVers have to have at least one kind of story along the way if you RV for any amount of time that you tell around the campfire of something that went wrong when you were emptying the tanks. But if you can avoid that, why not? Just do it the proper way and leave that valve closed until you need to go empty your tanks. The next set of tips are tips for when you're traveling down the road. So if you're traveling down the road and you hear something that you think might be a problem, or maybe you have like an access door open or a window pop open, which these things can and do happen when you're traveling down the road, find a safe place to pull over and fix the situation, or find out what maybe the noise is. So if you can pull off on an exit, get off the highway, pull over somewhere safe. That's really the key. You want to pull over somewhere safe to see if you can head off something that's probably just a small problem at the time and head it off before it becomes some kind of a catastrophic, bigger problems. So find those things out and fix them. The next thing you should avoid is dangerous road conditions. It's easy to find yourself in a situation that's really unsafe to be in on the road. So if that happens, the best idea is just to be able to find a place where you can ride out the storm. For instance, we were in Colorado one time and a snowstorm came in early and the roads were icing extremely quickly. So rather than trying to force our way through with our rig, with the RV, we ended up just pulling over behind some stores and we weathered the night, let it snow, got down into the single digits. Very fun, fond memory for our family. There was another time where we were driving through California and the wind got so bad that we ended up just pulling over and staying a night in an RV park, later to find out that a few semis blew over in that same windstorm. So if in doubt and the weather conditions get really bad, just take your time and find a place to stop. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overload your RV. It's going to put a lot of strain on your tires, your suspension, your axles. And when any one of those things fail on your RV, you're dead in the water. You're looking at a mobile tech, some kind of repair on the side of the road. It's very difficult to even tow your RV if you have a failure that's in the suspension or the axle. A tire you can change on the side of the road, but could be very devastating and dangerous at the same time. So watch the weights in your RV. Don't overload your RV so that it's not dangerous while you're towing it or driving it down the road. One of the last things on our simple list is try to avoid bad fuel. We picked up some bad fuel one time in New Mexico as we were heading to Colorado, and it plagued us for a really long time. We went through a lot of fuel filters, probably should have just drained the tank. That was quite a while ago, but since then we've kind of come up with a strategy to try and avoid places that have a heightened risk of bad fuel. So we try and plan out our fuel stops where there's going to be more fuel options. We try to aim for ones that maybe not necessarily always the cheapest. We usually try and find a good price, but sometimes we'll avoid those ones that it's really kind of a no name and it's the cheapest thing around. And then we also want to try and find places that cycle through their fuel. Looks like it's cycling. It's a busy place. They're cycling through their fuel, so it's not just sitting there and stagnant. So I think that's one of the situations that we had in New Mexico where we picked up some bad fuel. So doing those things and planning out our stops so that we're not desperate to get fuel. We know the range of our vehicle and we can fill up when we need to and not get into those dangerously low situations with fuel. So that's our list of the do not do's to your RV. If you had something that you wanted to add that you thought could help other people, leave that down in the comments. Also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos about RVing. We have some great stuff coming out, some technical videos that are going to be coming out, and just a lot more content about RVing. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.